Okay. Everybody, we're gonna do the pledge and the prayer. And I'll talk to you for just a second. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let's pause for a moment of prayer. Gracious God, on this beautiful day, we give you thanks for the hope of warmer weather, the buds that are beginning to emerge from the earth. Continue to guide us, help us to reach out to the needs of not only our community, but to serve one another as well through friendship, hope, and kindness. We pray all this in your holy name. Amen.
I was just gonna tell everybody, we're gonna just proceed a little bit differently today. Our speaker has to leave a little early, so we're just gonna flip flop, and after lunch, we'll have her come up first, and then we'll do the business meeting after that. I have to hit the left. Is this thing on? I don't know.
Yes, it's on. Go ahead, Dave.
All right. I still got it, yeah, don't tell anybody. All right, we will get to the business meeting in a little bit, but like I said, first, we're gonna have our speaker come up today. So today we have Amy Herbruck with us, from Herbruck Farms. She's a third or fourth generation Herbruck, and she's the community relations manager there, so she handles donations and charitable giving and egg donations and things like that. She also serves on the American Egg Board for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, representing Michigan's poultry industry internationally. So pretty timely occasion to have Ms. Herbruck here. That if you want. You can also
Just shout, okay, well, I don't know, boy, microphone makes me a little nervous, so I apologize, I'm gonna just wing it. I hope everybody can hear me, yeah, okay. So yes, I had mentioned when we were sitting here talking that depends on who you ask, third or fourth generation. Our marketing department thinks fourth generation sounds better, I guess, so I go with it. To me, I really feel I am the oldest of the third, fourth generation. So I really feel like we're more of a third generation. And why I say that is really how, if you were to look at our story online, we will say that we date back to the 20s, which is true. But you know, that would be, you know, transporting eggs, because my grandpa was part of a cheese company over in St. John's, Michigan. And as you know, when you go to your store, eggs are just lumped in with dairy. And they always have been. And so by way of the cheese counter, that's kind of how we ended up in the egg business. My grandpa was actually picking up eggs from a farm. It was about 6,000 birds at that time in Saranac, Michigan. So he came over from St. John's, Michigan, picked up these eggs, you know, and they were going to transport them to deliver them to other stores. And that was back in 1958. That is how we came to West Michigan. My story could be very different. I could be in Lansing area right now, for example, if that wouldn't have happened. So my grandmother, and actually, yes, I'm old, but my grandma is still alive. She's 94 this year. And not many 54-year-olds have a grandmother alive. I have one friend that she has a grandma alive. So other than that, people look at me and they're like, really? So yes, but my grandma would say that she thought my grandpa was nuts, crazy, insane, whatever you want to put to it, because they had just built a house in St. John's and they had 3 children at that point. So, you know, she's like, what are you thinking? You know, she couldn't necessarily see his vision. And my grandmother, digging in the dirt and, you know, being a farmer, so to speak, was not something she really had on her agenda. So, but my grandpa had a vision, and obviously, you know, we're here all these years later. It's worked out for us, clearly. And, you know, and I'm glad that he was more of a visionary, you know, than some of us could be. So, but yeah, so that's how we ended up over here. And I'm also out of the cousins that are kind of stepping up to take over because I do have one uncle that's a year and a half older than I am. But other than that, there's a 12-year gap for everybody. So my uncle Greg is, kind of semi-retired, for example. My father has stepped out and he thought it'd be a great idea to buy a golf course. So he liked to golf. And for anybody here, if you're thinking about that, you will golf less, I promise, if you buy a golf course, a lot less. So my dad is still part of the business, but that is what he's doing. My Aunt Melanie, who is also part of the business, she had moved to Florida, hates winter. There better be something really important to get her to come out of Florida in January to come up here. And if you drag her up here, totally you hear about it. So they're not involved in the business. So currently, my uncle Greg, presides as our CEO. My uncle Herb is the president. And then myself and 4 other cousins are involved in the day-to-day. So we are still a family-owned and held business. We have right now about 1,000 employees, across Michigan, Indiana, and Pennsylvania. We did, obviously, people have heard about the bird flu, avian influenza, HPAI, it gets called, and that means highly pathogenic avian influenza is what HPAI, when you hear that. So we did about a year ago, it was actually April 1st, when we tested positive. We had done everything to avoid it, but it was inevitable. You can't control nature. We're always protecting our flocks against wild birds and other little critters. So we did have a layoff. So that's where we should be about 1,200 employees. And as we are refilling houses, which houses the people in here might call them a coop, but we just refer to them as houses. Then we'll get back up to that amount. So we've had a rough last year for sure. But we're happy we're still here to talk about it. And our customers we are private label too, by the way. I should have mentioned that. So our customers like Meijer, Cargill, McDonald's, all really stood by us in Costco. So, which we were, very pleased because I know it's been rough and the egg market continues to fluctuate and is rough. And just in case anyone has a question, no, I am not lining my pocket with money. We are not seeing that because we're actually having to buy eggs out on the market. So this is actually worse for an egg producer right now. Because there's one very large corporately held egg producer, which all of the other egg producers are not corporately held, but there is one that's 45+ million birds. They can wag the market more than we can. I mean, we're normally 10, 11 million bird operation is really what we're at. So we don't wag the market. So if you hear somebody posted high profits, I question it. So even at the corporate level. But my role is to give away the car, is what I'm teased and told. I think I have the best job there. And so a lot of people in the room might think of it as corporate giving is really what I do. And I love it. My degree is in psychology because I thought I wanted to do something else. I was basically bound and determined I was not going to work at the farm because I was raised in little old Saranac and working with my family. Imagine how sheltered you feel. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to do something else. So I did leave for a number of years, close to 20, maybe, I don't know. I just wanted to see what's it like to get a job on my own. What else is out there? What I like doing? And so my first big move, I moved downtown Chicago. And as my dad told me, you can always come back while my grandma's crying and tell me I can't go and all of that. So I'm glad I did because, then from there I ended up in Nashville, Tennessee, Savannah, Georgia, Orlando, and Miami. Miami definitely prompted me to come home. That's a crazy world for me. And also during that time, I had some family that had illness. So that also made me, reevaluate my life. And so all along that, I was account management, office management, that type of thing. So when I came back to Michigan and I'm like, okay, and again, I thought about working somewhere else because I was like, do I want to see my family all day? Because if anyone, I don't know if anyone is in a family business here, but lines are crossed, it's different, you know, expectations, that type of thing, and sometimes you need a break. You know, cause I grew up hearing about egg belts breaking, my birthday, everybody had to leave because, you know, they're actually, that's back when fertilizer was wet. Manure ended up on the road, so we had to go, you know, deal with that. So I was shoveling shit on my birthday. Yeah, so there's that. So hopefully you guys can edit, sorry. But, so yeah, so I came back and we are not a family of, oh, your last name's Herbruck, here's a job. And so what was available was accounting. I have a skill for it, an aptitude, don't love it. It's just not necessarily for me. I respect people, especially people that, you know, get their CPA. Wow, that's tough. But so I, during the course of it, I was, you know, working in accounting and just buzzing along. Unfortunately, during that time, I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. And so I took a little bit of a pause. I still worked here and there as I could during chemo, radiation, and multiple surgeries. But during my downtime, it made me think even more. So I came, and we were struggling really to hire at that time because unemployment was so low, nobody needed a job. And working at a farm is not the sexiest of work. It's dirty, it can smell, it smells a lot less than when I was young. But you know, it's dusty, all of those things. And so I really felt it was important that we step up our charitable giving game. And I was kind of doing it part-time, and it's something we have done forever, but we were very quiet about it. So I put together a business plan, had to present it in front of my uncles, and they were like, sure, you know, because I had the buy-in of our, you know, then HR director. And it just made sense because what I kept reading, and trust me, rereading when you have chemo brain, was that if someone's looking to be employed somewhere, they're going to look for a company that gives back. And especially the younger people, like your millennials on down. So that's really important. And so, you know, I never thought I would be as busy as I am. I'm shocked at how busy. Now, I'm not good at saying no, so that's part of my problem too there, but I'm very passionate about what I do. And, you know, there are a lot of organizations that need spotlights on them. So I'm happy to be on a board. I do serve on 8 boards. Feeding America West Michigan is probably one of my favorites that I serve on, you know, here locally, because food insecurity, we're part of the food chain. And so it matters to us. And, you know, a lot of people just don't have access to healthy food. So, you know, that is something I really care about. So for me, this job was just a no-brainer to be able to do it, but I'm fielding calls daily, for egg donations, emails about egg donations, financial contributions, to the point that I had to kind of figure out where do we want to focus? Because before it'd be like, oh, you know, little Johnny's softball team needs, you know, $100 or whatever. And so we did cut things like kids sports because we felt those are things that a small business, you know, could donate to. So we do focus on food insecurity, veterans, first responders, you know, agri education, 4-H, FFA, that type of thing. As well as my loosey-goosey bucket, I call it, and that's community. And community can be supporting chamber events, that could, you know, enhance the communities, which my focus is always where our employees reside. And for us, a lot of our professional staff comes from Kent County, or Grand Rapids area. We've got some out in Ionia County, but primarily a lot of them are coming from this way. And we are right next to Lowell. And so we also have a lot of people that live in Lowell. And so I go really from Grand Rapids all the way over to Lansing, is what we cover for donations. And, you know, I always consider, you know, is it something that's going to enhance? So that's how I look at like community. But giving back is very rewarding for companies. If anyone is considering that, and in your company, you should really do it because it also boosts employee morale, your employees that are already there. It really, you can use it as team building, whether they do a meal packet. We have, you know, obviously Kids Food Basket here, we're involved with them as well. Or I Am Kids Third Meal, that happens to be an Ionia Montcalm, version of Kids Food Basket, but I would call food, and Kids Food Basket knows I say this, so it's okay. I would say Kids Food Basket is a Champaign budget, and I Am Kids Third Meal that I serve on the board and volunteer with, we're on a Natty Light budget out there. So, you know, it's, you know, especially in more rural areas, there's a greater need. There's, you know, higher, you know, a bigger divide between the haves and have-not, for sure. So, yeah, so I really do love doing that too, but, trying to think what else I want to say. I'm just gonna start rambling. Does anyone have questions? Why don't we do that, if anyone has a question? And that way I can steer back, yes.
The bird flu,
Okay, yep.
I don't quite understand, do you have to kill the flock?
It
It's
is, yeah.
because it can spread to humans, it doesn't spread to the eggs.
The government mandates it. You don't have a choice. So for us last year, when it hit our Green Meadow Organics facility, we didn't have a choice. USDA is on site almost immediately once those test results pop. I mean, actually, I could say they were there before even. Once they know it's even, you know, a factor. So they're there, MDART is there, Eagle, APHIS, I mean, they're all.
What's the
right there.
rationale behind that? Are they afraid it's gonna jump to humans?
No,
or-
just the spread, and it's still the great unknown whether it could spread to an egg, and especially you have to worry with a cooked egg, the risk is minimal for bird flu, but you can't take a chance. I mean, think about all the warning labels we have to have on everything now, telling people not to smoke at a gas station or the coffee's hot at McDonald's. So the government, you know, they make you do it. It was really hard. There were tears there, and I'm not talking about my family crying either. We have a lot of very long time employees. We just recently, for March, put out our 5 years and over. And on that list of people who had celebrated their anniversary for March, from 5 years to 22 years, you know, we had 25 people. And that's very common each month. So we have a lot of people who are very attached, and it took it very personally. So yeah, the government comes in and you have to do, they like to call it depopulation, because people who are not involved in farming don't like to think about, you know, animals dying. Well, I'm wondering how people think they have a steak or a hamburger. So, and I can say, I mean, growing up in agriculture, I didn't think about that a lot until I moved to Chicago, and a friend came back for a weekend with me. And Stephanie's like, oh, look at the cow, that's so cute. And I'm like, you just ate a burger. And, you know, she just wanted to think, oh, you know, I'm getting, you know, my meat at Dominic's or Jewel or whatever. And she just thought, oh, that's where it comes from. Wow. You know, so I wasn't raised that way. You know, we do believe in being humane. We are certified. We have some, actually the highest certifications for, how we treat our birds. A lot of that, I mean, when you do business with Costco, they're a West Coast company and they're really strict. And so we are very much certified, you know, as humane treaters of our flocks, and we do care. But yeah, unfortunately, we did have to depopulate.
Can't treat the birds with a vaccine or?
Well,
There
there's a
seems to be
vaccine.
A better alternative than.
The government won't allow it right now, though.
What's that?
The government, there is a vaccine, Zoetis, for example, has one, or Zoetis, however you say it. It's being produced here in the United States, but being used over in Europe. It's approved by the EU, which has much higher standards than we do, like Doritos. You're not gonna be eating a Dorito over there like you do here, because the red dyes, the, you know, high fructose and all of that that's banned over there. So my Uncle Greg has been on Fox Business, he's been on NPR. Tomorrow we have a crew from 60 Minutes showing up to interview him. I believe he will probably run this next Sunday, it could be the following. But he's been extremely vocal, along with United Egg Producers, American Egg Board, the CEO of Rose Acres, which is a big outfit, Ohio-based. that we need this vaccine to kind of stop like herd immune, get herd immunity. However, every time my Uncle Greg is on one of those, then I'm getting calls because I kind of field the community calls. So I'm getting calls from people who are very much against vaccines. And our current administration is not really a fan of vaccines. So we're having a struggle right now. Brooke Rollins, the Secretary of Ag, has went back and forth. She's flip-flopped. There's no other way to say it. But we're still trying, we're pushing, as much as we can, but we hope it happens because we really, we would love the egg prices to go down because really we'd make more money then again. So, yeah, sorry.
So you have numerous houses
Mhm.
in the area. When the avian flu hit, is it per household, or you destroy the whole house?
Yeah, the whole farm, each location. Now, part of what we did wrong, but we didn't think about this years ago in building. So the main farm was our first farm. Then following that, we put the chicory in, which is our own hatchery. And then we did, and then the Henry. So all of those were put into play within 10 miles of each other. That is also, when you talk to USDA, that's called a control zone. So that control zone, we were at risk and we knew that, yeah, but we can't move all of this now. So what we are doing, because in Ionia County, so we have Main Farm, we have, let's see, Chicory, Rector Road, the station, and the Henry, all out there. And so our growth, what we're doing is we're modeling what we already have done in Indiana, just over the border. The closest, largest, and it's not a huge town, Topeka, Indiana. There's a group of Amish and Mennonites that live down that way. And so we have worked with their 70 family farms down there. And most of those houses can vary from 25,000 to about 40,000 birds per house that they'll have. And they only have one house on their property. And we do have staff that we oversee them to make sure that everything, the proper nutrition, proper, because regardless, you do have to vaccinate your birds. Now, this latest vaccine is a little bit, there are a lot of other approved vaccines that don't protect against avian influenza, just other random bird diseases, because birds, they can get very sick easily. So now what we're doing in Michigan, we are, and we actually just brought our first house online up in Sheridan. So Sheridan, Michigan and Stanton, right in that area, they also have a pocket of Amish and Mennonite. And so we went out with Greenstone Farm Bureau and, and brought up a couple of people from Indiana, which was kind of funny, I guess, because there were some Amish people that met cousins that they had never met. So, so those stories were kind of fun. And so that's what we're doing. We're modeling that because that is about 30 minutes plus north of us. And there will be some going in throughout the next 2 years. Near Fremont, there's another pocket over there, and I apologize, it's a little small town, I can't remember the name, as well as down in Coldwater.
So am I understanding that if there's an outbreak of avian flu, all the birds within a 10-mile radius have to be destroyed?
No, only on our property. It didn't impact, so I'm out in a rural area, so it didn't impact if somebody had birds, on their farm. They had to test them. They had to do daily testing. Now, I just know from being out and about, there were a number of birds at people's farms that had to be put down. The unfortunate thing about all of this, a lot of people assume we brought it. Well, we've always been a little uptight, very restrictive with visitors and type of thing. Our biosecurity has always been a little higher than most. And so, which it's even more now than it was before. But yeah, so we're doing everything that we can to protect, but, can still get in. Most people, if you do have backyard chickens, if you know of anybody, I would advise, changing your clothes, washing your hands, Lysol. I have Lysol at my house, in fact, because I live on a lake. And obviously there's a lot of birds. And so I spray my feet every time I come in from walking my dog. Just to be safe and secure. Plus, I'd never wear the same shoes that I would wear to work or anything like that. But yeah, you're always at a great risk with it. But it came up to Michigan by way of cattle. From Texas, and so MDR knew 2 weeks ahead of time that there was a problem. We were never alerted, we didn't even know. Unfortunately, because it had never transmitted to dairy cattle in the past, but it obviously, like diseases, it mutated. So, we do have some people who had family that worked at the farm that was infected up in Belding. We didn't know, so we were, I mean, it would have been nice to get a heads up from MDR, but woulda, shoulda, coulda, we can't do much now. Yeah, so now for anybody employed with us, it's always been no birds, you know. Then as I think I was a teenager, pigs got looped in there because there's some crossover with pigs. And now, just in the last year, you know, no one can work with us that has dairy. So that's just all we can do to, you know, maintain safety. And we also, have built truck washes on staff for people coming in. You know, and like Feeding America this week, they showed up to pick up the eggs, and we grab their trailer with a switcher and take it up near our barn. So anybody or anything that, you know, we can prevent from getting near any of our stuff, we are. But it's a battle, for sure. It is. It's
A little different though, what do you do with the chickens after their laying days are over?
After their laying days are over, it depends, there's varying ones. Some birds, yes, are euthanized, others, go off into your chicken soup, and dog food. And I think some cat too, but primarily I know it's used in dog food, so it just depends. I mean, there are some birds that are a little more spent after, you know, after the laying cycle, so, yeah. And the other thing too, I should mention, because I get this a lot, well, why isn't this happening in meat chicken? Well, the broilers only live about 6 weeks. Your average, you know, like commercially, like Tyson or Purdue, they're not living, you know, a year, like, you know, a year and a half like ours are. So that's part of why it's not such a problem, because people are like, well, why isn't chicken gone up in price? So, and it is in wildlife as well. Currently, the DNR has found more and more diseased birds, as well as it's in squirrels. They found it in house cats, you name it. So, but the risk still to humans is very, very minimal. There was a gentleman who passed away down in Louisiana. He had a backyard flock. He also, not that this makes it any better, he had some kind of underlying health condition. I don't know what it was, but very sad regardless. But yeah, that it can transmit, but it's gotta be the right situation. Somebody raised their hand. Oh, yeah.
Starting businesses, pretty difficult, and it's a struggle in the beginning. You may have a business that's lasted 3 generations. It's a bit odd, so do you comment on some of the keys on why business has been successful through 3 generations?
Sure. Hard work. A lot of hard work comes to mind. You know, packing, you know, Easter is like our Super Bowl, we joke. I mean, not so much right now this year because the Michigan potato farmers are trying to steal our thunder because of the cost of eggs, you know, peanut potato. Which great. I mean, we support all agriculture. We're like, well, take the heat off us, but yeah, hard work has been one of them because no one in my family is afraid of hard work. And a lot of faith. You know, that really has been it, because we are a Christian family, very much rooted in our faith. And that has helped us through a lot of things, because there have been little hiccups over the years that happen, of course, and also treating your employees well. I don't know, I'm kind of mixed on, you'll see some things about ours that say family. I don't know, as for some people, calling them family may not be good if they have a bad family situation, but you know, team members, you know, I prefer. And I always remind people, we're working alongside them and with them, not that, because you do get things where I might show up in a break room, not so much now, because we can't go farm to farm, even me, we're restricted. But you show up in a break room and someone's like, oh, you know, I've got to behave or whatever, or act differently. Employees think you're here. No, none of us are, because kind of a weird story of how we believe you should treat people would be, my grandpa years ago almost fired my Uncle Stephen. He thought he was getting a little out of line. And he's like, just because your name's on that, your last name's on that door doesn't mean I won't fire you. So all of us know that. And I still like to think how my grandpa told me, when I was 6 and he put me on, a milk crate to pack eggs. You will be twice as nice and you'll work twice as hard as anybody out here. And, you know, it's, and giving back matters, all of those things. And, we just, you know, it wasn't that great this year, our profit sharing, but we don't just like keep it for ourselves. In fact, you know, there were, you know, family, we put any profit sharing, the ones that are employees would get profit sharing, you know, family members that are, I mean, my family members that are part of the business but don't work there didn't get profit sharing, but we put our money back in. We would rather that go to, you know, to the staff to give it to them, but we've always, and we've done profit sharing forever, to make them a part of it, and our benefits package, people love that, so, it's just all those things, and treating people right, it matters, it's sad when you hear stories about how people, you know, people are treated in a company and not valued. If you value your employees and you treat them well, it's a big difference, you know? That's what I would say, but hard work is the biggest one. Too much sometimes. Okay, I'm gonna pick her first, sorry. We can't see her.
I think earlier you said you buy eggs.
To fill the gaps. We normally don't have to buy eggs, but, we are down about half. Just a little over half what we should have. And so, yes, we have had to
So-
purchase
so
eggs.
A retailer comes to you and puts an order in, or who do they go to? Your company?
Yeah, so like, say Meyer, well, everything's
Yeah.
electronic.
Yeah.
And we don't have enough eggs to fill that order for Meyer. Well, Meyer's been with us, and I mean, I remember Fred and Lena very well. They've been with us forever back in, you know, so, so we end up purchasing from another egg producer. In
And is
turn,
that
we,
considered a different type of wholesaler or not?
no, the customer doesn't even know we're doing it. I mean,
But I
we
mean,
tell,
is
they
that-
know,
Is
but.
that place where you're buying it,
Mhm.
do they sell also to?
Yeah, because
retail?
there are
They would
tiers.
just sell to whoever.
So the egg business, so when I go to an American Egg Board meeting, everybody except for one company in that room, everybody in there is a family, almost all of them Christian too. It's a very interesting thing, business. So we think there's enough business for everybody out there, and there always has been. And so we were purchasing, from Rose Acres down in Ohio to fill our gaps. Then they had an outbreak.
Yeah.
So then we're competing to buy out of, Versova in Iowa with Rose Acres now. So, and it was more the supply, not competing like, oh, they're gonna
Yeah.
price gouge us, but we just wanted to please our customers the best that we could, and so that's what we have to do. Gonna go with him first then.
Are you largest in Michigan?
Yes,
How
yeah.
many egg producers are there in Michigan?
And what's the name of your?
Herbruck's,
or-
Herbruck's Poultry Ranch,
What is it?
we're Herbruck's Poultry Ranch. So if you eat eggs at Costco, Meyer, McDonald's, anything east of the Mississippi with McDonald's is our egg. You know, so, yeah, so. Did I answer?
How many producers?
Oh, how many producers? There are currently Sunrise, like 2 others, yeah. But,
Pretty big.
yeah, and so we're the biggest, huh? No, there's not a lot of smaller, yeah, not a lot of that. There's a little bit, I mean, there've been the hobby farmers popping up, you know, the ones that'll kind of do it all or whatever, but. And normally, now we're gonna drop on the rankings because of how many eggs, you know, how many chickens we have and all that right now for this next year, but. Normally we fall at about 9 on the nationwide producer list. So we're usually the 9th largest. I suspect we'll probably fall with 10th, possibly 11th 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 11th
When I go to D&W or Family Fair, you'll see different packaging, some in the corrugated, I mean, are those all your eggs, but different?
No, see, so Spartan Ash, which would be where all them, currently we're only with Spartan Ash, we had to kind of cut them back, so the only eggs that are there that are ours are Eggland's Best. And we will continue that contract, with them as well.
But other than Eggland's Best, which has a distinctive package,
Yeah.
I mean, some of them you'll see like the corrugated,
Yeah.
almost looks like farm to table or something.
Yeah, oh,
Where-
yeah.
Where are those eggs from?
Those could be from, you got Pete and Jerry's that's come in, most of them are coming from out of state, to be honest. But Pete and Jerry's has really got in there, you've got a little bit coming from Rose Acres. However, now with Michigan, currently they all, have to be cage free. So, you know, it has to come from a state that's cage free, so, Indiana, for example, that doesn't have that widespread law, they can't just sell eggs, it has to be a cage-free facility. And that did not cause the egg prices to go up like it did. Cause that was another thing after the first of the year, a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, eggs went up because of the cage-free law. That law, had been talked about since 2009. And then it got tabled for a while, and so we were prepared for this, we knew it was coming. When the market settles out, it's probably gonna end up being about a 20-cent, 30-cent difference in your eggs. Honestly, is really what it'll be. And yeah, that might sound like a lot, especially if you have a big family and you're buying a lot of eggs. But remember, our profit's coming from that dozen eggs. So if you look at that dozen eggs that way and realize that wages, insurance, fuel costs, feed, all of that, that has to come from that dozen eggs. Our profit margins are pretty lean. For sure. Yes.
Are you still in the cheese business?
No, sadly, I wish we were, because I really sometimes think I should have been born in Wisconsin. Cheese to me is a food group, on its own, so yeah, I absolutely loved it, and, yeah, that I have great memories of Sunday after church, grandpa and grandma loading us up, because my uncle that's a year older than myself, him and I got lumped together like siblings, and so the two of us would end up going to the cheese store, seeing great grandma. They had a sandwich shop in there. I would like eat my weight in cheese, you know, back when your metabolism's kicking. And then go to Uncle John's Cider Mill, because that's my aunt and uncle, my grandma's youngest sister, so Uncle John's Cider Mill on 27. A lot of people may not have been over there, because I know this is Robinette's territory, but, yeah, it was wonderful. Cheese, then cider and donuts, what could be better? Cause I would just be like, why do we have to have chickens? Why can't we have cheese? So. Yeah, but well, cheese and eggs, you get a good omelet, that's for sure. So good, all right.
Great.
I actually need another one. Somebody stole my.
Appreciate your time today.
Thank
too.
you, thank you.
Yeah, feel free to.
Yes.
All right, while I still got you, few items to address. District conventions this coming weekend, it may be too late to get in, it may not be. If you're interested, see Cheryl and she can direct you to the right spot. Monday the 24th is following, so 6 days from now, that evening, we're gonna have that town hall Zoom meeting. This is really just for information that the board can then take to make decisions for next year, next fiscal year. So if you're able to attend, that'd be great. It's just kind of sort of an open-ended forum about what's working, what's not. You know, what are your favorite aspects of Lions Club? What can we change? What should we keep the same? Just that. No, there's no decisions being made that night. It's really just kind of a sounding board to gather some ideas for the board to go forward with. So that's next Monday night.
Will there be an email with the link?
Yes, Cheryl will probably send that out a few days in advance, but yeah, look for that in your email. Let's see, what else? Service project, April 12th. Kelly, do you want to say any more than that, or I think it was you and Brad?
I was speaking to Brad.
To Brad, okay. So Brad took her. I know Cheryl said sent out a note on that, maybe this last week. Also, for anybody that didn't get the email, past presidents dinner is April 29th. I think I included everybody on that, but in case you're sitting here and you're a past president, didn't see the notes, April 29th. Couple other save the dates. June 10th is gonna be the annual meeting at Watermark again. June 16th is Drive for Vision. There are brochures on each of your tables. If you have any questions, I can probably answer them. If I can't, Jamie, Janot, and Jeremy Kneuster are heading that up this year. I think that's it. I also, I'll open it up to anybody else that has anything. Also still have raffle tickets. This is for the Lions Foundation of Michigan. This meeting and then probably the next meeting are gonna be about the last chances to buy these before I send them in. We sell them all, half the money comes back to the club. And of course, if you win, first prize I think is it's $5,000. But they paid 10 places, so there's 10 winners. What am I missing? Anybody else have anything for the good of the club? Right. Yep, I recruited a new tail twister for the day, Mr. Schuyler.
Yeah. Gonna do my best, Jamie impression. Who's missing a pin? Oh, boy. Nobody? Me. Missing a pin.
But I also got a happy box. You're not ready for that, are you?
Well, I mean, it doesn't look like a lot of people are missing, so if you wanna do both, we can do both. Oh, you change your mister?
No,
Ah, no, we got some happy bucks. All right.
vacation dollars. I was gone for 7 weeks during January, February, and March in much warmer, sunnier places than Grand Rapids. So
This is just tax.
I am very happy. My wife isn't quite as happy.
Happy you're back. Fantastic. Anyone else got some happy bucks?
I was on a golf trip in Arizona, and I just want to give you some of I played really well.
He did,
Oh,
he did
So,
play well.
so here's Jeff Try's dollar.
Yeah.
Here's Bob Younger's,
Yeah.
Pat Mullins,
Okay, all right.
Kim Gary,
Wow.
Rob Lally.
Holy cow.
We even got one out of Lynn Francis. And I'll throw mine.
That's golf money, folks. That's what it's at. Well,
He did very well.
oh, great. Well, thank you for being so honest. Appreciate that. Much like Jamie, I'm always ready to be leading, and so we're not. Anyone else have any happy bucks before we do the wrap? Fantastic. Do it.
There's somebody won the raffle.
I did, I won it. I would tell you how much was in it, but I actually haven't gotten it yet. So, I don't even know. But this bag is full of red chips, so.
Did you throw the white one in?
No, it was me. Yeah, you went
last time, right?
Yeah.
He won the $5 and the raffle.
The clean sweep. I was the only one here, but no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we just paid off today.
John Rice even held it really high. I had to reach in.
Who took a 10 spot from him on the way in the door? Who's doing it? I mean, well, you're closest to me. Here we go. First one. Here we go.
748, 743, yeah.
743.
Yeah, Brady.
$5 back.
Look at this. You just can't get rid of Kim. Yeah. So you're getting your own money back, right?
Yeah.
Some days the return of capital is pretty good.
We'll make it new cereals for you.
Whoa, whoa.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it happened last week. Is that how you did it last week? That's
Yeah.
impressive. Oh, yeah, those. All right. Awesome. Hey, the very other stuff, that was probably yours. All right, here we go.
I think that's not what.
It's I'm learning that. That's the last one I'm getting. It's
769.
769.
Buddy? Jim?
Gary.
Gary.
I don't want to win this one.
Yeah, there's.
Is that what I get, $2?
$8. But, you know, I mean.
You never know. Right?
Oh, we know when you can.
That's it. All right.
I can't see it.
It's red.
It's red, it's red.
Perfect.
50 more reds to go.
Okay.
Okay, does anybody else have anything else? Next lunch meeting's April 1. Can't remember the speaker off the top of my head. So
My
nothing-
mind's not on that.
That meeting Monday night's important if everybody can be on it. Would like to get feedback.
And if you can't be on it and just wanna send me a comment or anything that.
You're gonna send
please-
out some
please do
questions
that.
ahead of time?
The questions, I mean, it was in the NUDA, it's just kind of a general, it's really just, you know, hey. What are the most important aspects of the club to you? What should we be doing differently? Do you like the meeting structure? Do we like it here? All of this is coming up because the board kind of has to make some decisions about next fiscal year, and so going into that, we just like the.
We
opinion
want
of
a
everybody.
luncheon and a night.
Right, I mean, it's sort of an open table, open to hear ideas and, or criticism or anything.
For those that are here, I mean, we're looking at lunch costs, and is it worth it to have 2 lunches a month? Two on the first and third, or do we make one lunch meeting a month, and then one like we did with the social,
Social thing, yeah.
like 5 o'clock, 5:15 somewhere, where there's some other activity that we can, we would not have an official meeting, but it's more of a get together where we could bring some folks and have some interaction like they did at Duck Bowling. And have that scheduled as a regular event. So,
Yeah, so it's really just a brainstorm session that the board can then use to make some
you know,
decisions.
lunches in this setting, even though this is a great place and we kind of control the meal, it still costs us 25 to 30 bucks a person. When you look at renting the room, they give us 50% off, it's 175 bucks just for the room, which is half because we're nonprofit. Then we have
Service charge,
a service charge of another 35 bucks or something.
$60.
Yeah,
60 bucks? Okay, so we're at 240 bucks, set charge before we walk in the door, and that's without eating there. So if there's other options that we could pick, I mean, this place has worked out well in terms of the meeting and all that, but.
and if the interval has to change, if it's, hey, let's meet every first Tuesday of every month and then have something else later in the month.
I think it'll make it easily $1,000 a session on fellowship hours.
Right, there's a lot of things to
And we don't want to give up the fellowship part, because that's critical, you can't just do it all at. So, that's
And that's why
the
we're doing
feedback we
that.
want to hear.
See what,
I'll send out the Zoom tonight.
check your emails.
And we'd really like to hear from the ones that aren't, that don't come. You know, what can fit for them, so that they can, that it's a value.
With the black bag and the minivan picking them up.
Yep. There might be a tall ball guy driving.
We have a gray van.
Also, don't forget, if you haven't been here in a while or been here before, the parking ticket is a sticker on your way out the door, so you can. I think that's it for me. All right, meeting adjourned.
Hey, okay. Good. Hey, thank you. That'd be exciting.